looks a lot better than before. You could actually see the other spices, the other basil, the other mint is clearly distinguishable. The Eau de Parfum and that one are different. Here there's two, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6 different mints. Oh look, this one here. Let me clip these lemon balms off too. Okay, that's better. And then I just gotta clip some of this chocolate mint next. Hold on. Right, so I got the chocolate mints. And now you can see my dad, my grandpa, and my grandma, whose name I still have to fix on that rock. And let me get rid of some of these leaves too. That way Boo Boo's paw prints can show and they can glow again at night. Alright. So now the area is cleared. And before I go, I'm going to trim down some of those 2 mints as well. It looks so skimpy now. I mean, it doesn't, but it does. If you remember, this whole area was filled. Now you could see some dying leaves in there before you couldn't. This is the bouquet of these 2 mints, which I'm not sure what they are. Let's see if I can identify them. This is one variety of mint. That's a whole nother chunk of another mint. Put my coffee in there. Hot and spicy oregano. Pineapple sage. Lavender. This is chocolate mint. Chocolate mint. Which mint is this one? Let me see. I think this is mojito mint. That's the mojito mint. I grabbed some lemon balm along with it. And then the rest of this is lemon balm. And down here is basil. So this is all the herbs that I harvested today. All of this herbage came from my beautiful herb garden. I love it so much. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make some basil tea with the basil. Alright. So I'm gonna soak everything first when I get upstairs and clean it nice and good. And then I'm gonna take the basil and I'm gonna make a basil tea with lemon and honey. I'll show you how I make that. I don't think I'm gonna do the same thing with the mints, but I am gonna also make a tea with the pineapple sage and the lavender separate. So it'll be 3 separate teas. And then the oregano, I'm gonna dry it and cook with it. And then the chocolate, I'm gonna do, the chocolate. And then these teas, I'm gonna do like a mint lemonade with. Like a mixed mint lemonade. So all the mints can get mixed like that. And I will put this right up here. Like so. And I've got my bushel of herbs. I've never had such a huge harvest of herbs before. It's amazing. My pool is ready to go, nice and clean. Tomorrow's my birthday, so I'm gonna fill her up. And I'm gonna soak and smoke weed. Who knows what I'll do back here. But the plan is to stay back here until I can no longer. I put some sticks. I took the stick that I had there with the cucumbers out because the cucumbers didn't need it since they have the fence, and I put it there to try to keep my sunflowers standing straight. It's not working. They continue to fall. So I want to talk real quick about some mistakes I've made this year in the garden. And one of my biggest mistakes this year in this garden was the place in which I planted my sunflowers. That was like my #1 error. I planted my sunflower seeds in these big pots, and this is like prime real estate right here because this whole chunk of area gets the most sun in the garden, but specifically that back row. This whole little strip here, all of this that's in the pots and here, that gets the most sun. If you remember, in that pot in the beginning of the gardening season, I had watermelons in there. Oh, there's a butterfly down yonder. I had watermelons in there, and they gave me nothing. The tiniest little mint ball sized watermelon. It was terrible. The plants were doing nothing. The plants were doing nothing because the sunflowers were hovering over them, blocking the sun. And I kept cutting the leaves from the bottom of the sunflowers, and it didn't work. So I ended up having to pull the plant. In these 2 containers, in this one I have 2 Cubanelle peppers. In that one I have 2 jalapeno peppers plus 1 Hungarian hot wax pepper. Now, 2 peppers was pushing it in these containers. 1 pepper would have been amazing in there, bigger than this, or maybe just about this size. But what happened? I put 2, so they would have never prospered the way this cayenne pepper is prospering. And also, they got no sun because of the damn sunflowers. So, next year, I'm going to want to do sunflowers again because they bring so many beautiful bees and bugs to the garden. I'm just not going to do them there. Absolutely fucking not. All sunflowers in the future, all sunflowers in my future garden will go in the raised bed in the back row of the raised bed where that sunflower is. Look how happy it is there. Then the morning glories that grow back there, no matter what I do, they can grow up the sunflower, and when they bloom it'll look really pretty, like sunflowers here and a purple, like a green wall of greenery, because all the morning glories will grow up the sunflowers, so it'll fill all that back thing in with greenery. And then when the morning glories start blooming, it'll be pretty purple flowers everywhere. So it's going to be beautiful. And then with the yellow and different yellow orangey colors of the sunflowers, it's going to be really nice. So that's mistake #1. Don't put things that are going to be so tall that they end up shading your vegetables in prime sun real estate, because that's what I did. And as you could see, my peppers paid the price. Yeah, the plants are producing, but we're all the way in the ending of August. It's August 23rd. And these Cubanelle pepper plants, one of the plants is finally now giving me peppers. And I'm only going to get like 2 or 3, 5 if I'm lucky. The other plant still hasn't put out a pepper. So there's that. My jalapenos have a bunch of peppers, but those plants would have been double the size if there were 2 of them in there and the sunflowers weren't crowding them. So that was mistake number one. What else? What is another mistake that I made? Another mistake that I made was not putting the herbs, the herb garden, in the raised bed. I think the herb garden would have done 1,000 times better in the raised bed. Or would it have? You know, like, I'm not sure. I think either way it would have done well. I think I would have just preferred it in the raised bed, because this is prime real estate, baby. And it's all herbs, you know? I could have grown one massive tomato in there. And forget about it. This whole thing would have been filled with tomatoes. I would never get that many tomatoes in there, because the sun doesn't reach over there that much. So, yeah. Next year, all vegetables that could survive without that much bright sun, I'm going to plant here. For example, next year here, I'll do my peas. I'll do all my lettuces. If I'm going to do bok choy, I'll do that there as well. And that's it. You know, that's going to be everything for there. Kale, lettuce. My carrots could go in pots all along the front row of this thing. And next year I won't put my squash here. Or maybe I will, because look at how good these two squashes are doing. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll do sunflowers. And then maybe on this side, on one side, I could put all my lettuce and shit like that, kale. No, why do I need to do it on one side? I could do it in a row. All right, so it'll be sunflowers. In the middle will be my kale, lettuces, bok choy, whatever the fuck. And onions, green onions can go here as well. And then here, I'll plant like 4 squash or zucchinis. I could do 4 different varieties and have them all growing this way, right? Over here, no more sunflowers. I can do watermelons and cucumbers and have them growing all along this way, right? And in these pots, instead of doing tomatoes in them next year, I'm going to do my peppers in there. 1 pepper per pot, and then my tomatoes will go in ground. So in all the spots that I have here, that have like this spot here, I'll put a tomato in there. Wherever I already dug holes in the ground underneath the mulch, that's where I'll plant my tomatoes. And so then this whole thing is going to be filled. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to probably have to get some type of stepping stones or tiles like this, yard tiles, to make a trail. Like where these pots are, I'll have to make a trail. And I'm not going to be able to let my tomatoes go crazy. I'm going to have to come up with some type of system to keep them upright. And then when that happens, they're going to be massively tall. It's going to be fucking great. I can't wait. I have so many plans for next year after seeing what went right this year and what went wrong. So my rose is no longer with us, which is fine. And here is a full view of the garden. Today, Tuesday. I love this guy. Tuesday, August 23rd. So we got some ripening happening. Once the ripening process began, you know, like the first round of ripening happened, and then it stopped, and then the second round, and this is like the 3rd or the 4th set. And then after this, there'll be even more, because look, a bunch of tomatoes, all different sizes, that are beginning the blushing process, which means they're going to be ripening soon. Hey, Yamato. Look at these eggplants. Aren't those something? You see how wide they are at the bottom? They're going to be delicious. That guy doesn't seem to be getting any bigger. So this guy, I think I'm going to be harvesting it soon. Sooner than later, that's for sure. Definitely by the ending of the month. I'm going to go online and find out exactly how to know when it's time to harvest your squash, your eggplants, and your melon, because I harvest melon prematurely almost every time. And then I've never harvested a squash until it's like overripe and tiny and not gonna be much of anything. So I don't know how to harvest a squash when it's good. I feel like that one's ready, man, honestly. Because they're turning color, that yellow color, and it just keeps getting fatter and fatter, right? But it's not that smooth yellow that other squash is, but it's both the same kind of squash. So I am just so confused. I gotta look at the package, the seed package. I mean, if there's a reason for that. I want this tomato. I want it right now. It's going in my tummy. Right here, right now. So good.